And one of the things she said was that we want to build the middle class. That sort of bothered me. I understand what she's saying, but that's really the philosophical divide for me. I'd appreciate the opportunity to build myself. I'm a middle class guy. I'm very capable of handling my own affairs. I don't need government doing all of these things for me. And then finally, the issue is, and how do we solve this issue? Is that I think this country has moved from a point of where there's been independence to a point of massive dependence. And how we get ourselves out of that is because just about everybody is dependent. And in the end, what does that mean to me as a free man or us as a free people?
Okay, Congressman.
Well, what we have to do is educate the public so that they have a better understanding of economic principles. There is no free lunch. For someone to get something for free, which unfortunately too many voters are starting to expect, the government has to have been used in a way to forcefully take that money from somebody else, somebody who has earned it. Alexis de Tocqueville, a political philosopher of the 1800s, when he studied the American political system, predicted that it would last only as long as it took a majority of the voters to figure out that they could use the government to take other people's money to give to themselves. And I'm very much concerned, as you seem to be, that we're reaching that tipping point. If we do reach that tipping point, then America will collapse as a country. This is a major fight that we have on our hands. We have to get back to the foundational principles that made America great, probably the greatest nation the world has ever seen for the last 6 centuries. But all of that is premised on sacrifice. Sacrifice by our forefathers, people who gave of their fortunes and sometimes even of their lives so that their children and grandchildren would have a better life than they had. What we're doing right now is the exact opposite. We are sacrificing our children and grandchildren by taking their money so that we can spend it today and live beyond our means today. And that's wrong, and it won't work, and it will catch up with us.
Let's go to Tammy Independent in Huntland, Tennessee. You're next for Mo Brooks. Go ahead.
Good morning, Congressman Brooks.
Good morning. Huntland, that's pretty close.
Yes, it is. Franklin County is the last board right there from Alabama. You know, we're close to Huntsville. But I want to first thank you for your courage to vote no. And my second question is, we keep hearing about jobs, but I don't know if you know about the DOJ slapping a lawsuit on Alabama, who is struggling because of illegal immigration and all the devastation from the tornadoes. When they talk about jobs, why do they stop illegal immigration and encourage illegal immigration and seem to be focused more on people that break the laws than the people that are than the Alabamans themselves? But what really bothers me is the same Department of Justice and Obama administration handed guns to the cartel to slaughter innocent babies and Mexican families. And then they play this game over here like we care. I wish they would care about the American worker. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Good.
Thank you. May I address the illegal alien issue?
Sure, go ahead, yeah.
She makes a very valid point. The quickest way to revive our economy, quite frankly, the quickest way to produce jobs for Americans is to get all illegal aliens out of our country. They have broken across our borders. They have broken into our home, the United States of America, and we need to evict them. We need to use every means legally possible. And I'm very disturbed by the Justice Department as administered by this White House. We should be sending states like Arizona and Alabama and Georgia thank you notes rather than lawsuits. Thank you notes, because those states have decided on their own initiative at their own cost to try to address this illegal alien problem in the face of a federal government that has been derelict in its duty to do so. I'll do whatever I can. I've co-sponsored over 40 bills to try to deal with this illegal alien problem, but quite frankly, we've got a challenge, and it's probably going to take a different outcome in the 2012 elections than we've had in past elections before we're going to successfully deal with this illegal alien issue and immediately create 5 to 10 million jobs for American citizens.
Let's go next to Travis, Democratic caller, Granbury, Texas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would just like to say thank you for your no vote, and anybody that voted yes should be checking their moral compasses. I would also like to say that all I've heard is jobs, jobs, jobs from both sides of the line. How come Congress is going on vacation if jobs are so important?
I can't answer the vacation part. I'm a newbie. I will say this, that by and large, during all of my time back in the district, it's been something like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. That's the kind of schedule that my staff gives me back home where I'm interacting with the people that I represent, trying to make sure I understand their issues better so I can best represent them when I'm in Washington, D.C. With respect to jobs, the United States House of Representatives has passed a number of initiatives that would create jobs. Unfortunately, they go to this area called the Senate on Capitol Hill to die a silent death. But there are plenty of things that we can do that would help the job market. The most important thing is to understand the difference between socialism and free enterprise. Free enterprise is what helped make America great, made us a land of opportunity where people can excel to the extent they're just willing to work hard or study hard or come up with an idea or implement it, do something better, faster, or cheaper. That's how you create jobs. Socialism, i.e. government job creation programs, history has shown they are counterproductive and do not work. So we've got to work it out in America, where the voters decide, do we want to continue with this experimentalism and socialism, a failed economic model, or do we want to get back to the basics that will generate jobs, as history has proven that it will?
Next phone call comes from Kevin, a Republican in Hickory, North Carolina. You're on the air with Congressman Mo Brooks.
Yes, thank you.
Kevin, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to I just wanted to find out if this did not pass the Senate, do you think that we will get our Social Security checks and disability checks? And another thing, you know, I think the Lord is really with us in this time of need and everything for everybody, including the Congress. And I just wanted to say thank you for what y'all do, but, you know.
Well, Kevin, let me jump in at that point because, you know, the headlines in all the papers this morning on front pages is that it's headed to the Senate and it's likely to have the votes over there, 60 votes necessary, and it's going to pass, and that the president is expected to sign it today. So I don't think you have to worry about your Social Security check at this point.
No, you don't. But even if we had skipped today, you would still get your Social Security checks in a timely fashion if the President of the United States chose to do so. Even if we had not raised the debt ceiling, which I think we should, okay, because of the economic consequences. We just can't get out of it this quickly all at once. It'd be a starvation diet situation. You have $2.2 trillion in revenues. Social Security costs about $700 billion. So that's a 3-to-1 ratio. There'd be plenty of money for Social Security. Now, the president would have had to prioritize and decided which things were going to be timely paid, which things were going to be delayed. Personally, I think that Social Security would have been one of those that were timely paid, along with the obligations to our creditors, which was another $200 billion, leaving the president with $1.3 trillion to distribute amongst all the other demands of the federal government.
By the way, if you're interested in watching that Senate vote, it's expected to take place around noon today. Watch our coverage on C-SPAN 2. Leah, Independent in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Hi, thank you. I have a couple comments and a question or two. First of all, I would really like to say that one of the greatest disappointments I've had with Mr. Obama, President Obama, is having this legislation come up way past the last minute. Once again, we can't see what's in it, as you described at the beginning of the show, and it's unbelievable what's in it. This super Congress that's in it is, from what I saw them say last night, Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell, there is no part of the government that it can't touch and it can't regulate, and we won't be able to stop it because we thought this was an emergency. Wait until those triggers are there. Whatever these people put on paper is going to have to get passed. And people are afraid about what they could do. How can this happen, that the government can't take care of its checkbook? It cannot legislate financially. And so they create a super Congress that could grow and mutate and become a terrible threat to who knows what civil liberties that are chipped away with every day. And I have an answer to one of the questions from an earlier caller. She said, where was the Tea Party when all this was going on with the Republicans? I can tell you where this one was, voting for Obama. And America better wake up. This isn't about Republicans and Democrats. We are in trouble. We need politicians that don't want to get re-elected. Just like these freshmen, we need more of them. We need a president like that. We need Ron Paul.
To Leah's point, there was one article in the paper today that said anything that has to do with money is under the purview of this so-called super committee.
That is correct, as I understand the legislation, keeping in mind now that I've only had it for about 24 hours. And it is 74 pages, There's a lot of legalese, a lot of budgetary type lingo that is used, and so it makes it more difficult.